Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in a Half Shell, Turtle Power! Here we go, followers of darkness. It's Cowabunga style today. And here we go to another, after such a long hiatus, Shadow Council episode. It is time to talk about one of the greatest, for me personally, one of the greatest franchises in all over the world ever created since 1984. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are in town, baby, or more precisely in the sewers. But here I am, like always, your host, Lord of Shadows, and here's my charming council member, Cold.
Hi, Peyton, Pop Perch Network, and Turtle Fanatic, Cowabunga.
Exactly, and here we're gonna talk about the legacy of the one and only Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which a lot of you guys, I know, this franchise has been part of your childhood for a long time. So before we go into the overall legacy, I know I already heard from my spies that you already seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie. Is that correct, my fellow council member?
Yes, it is. Comes out tomorrow.
Great. So could you please share
Oh
with
wait, actually,
our
it's out.
fair enough. Could you please share with our other followers your overall thoughts? Remember, non-spoiler, but the overall thoughts about the movie. Hello?
Lord of Shadows.
Can you hear me? It looks like we
Lord of
had
Shadows.
some dysfunctions right now.
Yeah. Technical
Can
difficulties.
you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
sorry. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
So, can you hear your
Okay,
personal
so
thoughts?
what was it you were about to say? Oh, on the movie.
So,
On Mutant
yes.
Mayhem. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was a charming well, for starters, when I heard that Seth Rogen was going to be doing this movie, and like he's done other like comic book um projects, and he's been behind animated comic book projects. I'm like, and I heard he's a fan of the Ninja Turtles. I'm like, okay, this is definitely in good hands. And seeing the art style and whatnot, and from the trailers, seeing the cast, seeing that the main turtles are actually played by authentic teenagers, and they're definitely digging into the teenage aspect, made me excited um, for this project and what else we get from this franchise. And that being said, I was satisfied with a good bit of the movie. It was really fun. It had that unique art style, the cast, the music. The music um, uh, was like 90s hip hop, which was like a perfect aesthetic for the Turtles, which kind of rose in the 90s essentially. And it had the feel of the Eastman and Laird comic books while having like its own vibe, but also being true to these characters we know and love. So um, I really loved it, and I can't wait to talk about Ninja Turtles in general. Really,
Oh yeah. So I just want to say right now, what everything you said, it was just simply well put it. Really well put it. I really like your comments. So thank you very much for sharing your overall thoughts about the TMNT Mutant Mayhem movie. I just really cannot wait to see it. I'm gonna see it like either Friday or Saturday. So I'm really hoping it's gonna be satisfying even for me as well.
Yeah,
Right?
you make it.
I sure hope so. I mean, like, there's so many franchises that've been part of my childhood, and let me tell you, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is also one of them. And even though a lot of people will like remember
Same.
the 19 even though a lot of people remember like the 1987 like cartoon anime TV show, which of course was the intro that I sang at the very beginning. But for me, my jam, my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were actually the 2003 version. That was like my jam. That was like the Ninja Turtles I grew up with, you know. And from that moment on, like I started like following many different projects. I went into like with some difficulty, but I went to like also in the Nickelodeon like 2012 version as well. And then of course after like so many years, I watched the 80s version, 1987 version as well. Which made me love the Ninja Turtles even more and more and more. But the overall, I'm really curious what you're gonna say about this, because the overall, like, everyone who knows the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they know that the overall origin is from 1984, from the Mirage Studios, when they created the black and white comic
Yeah,
book.
84.
Exactly, so it was from Mirage
Yeah, it was
Studios. They
actually an
create,
interesting story.
yeah, really.
Oh, yeah, well, Eastman and Laird, they literally, um, the way that they created, I think they were working together at some type of restaurant, and they both, they were bit in age, but as far as the age gap goes between them, but they had a passion for comic books. And one night they were just randomly doodling, and they're like, "Oh, hey, it's a Ninja Turtles." So they randomly, and I think I believe they got a little and so much time.
So what did you say that the,
Did you
the
get
screen
that?
was a little bit? Sorry, the screen went a little bit frozen, so I didn't heard you.
I was essentially saying that I was essentially saying that Eastman Laird made um they're like, hey, Ninja Turtle, and they made the comic book. They got a loan from their uncle, and well, I think it was Kevin's uncle, and they were able to make this first run of Bob. And they um and, and they sold out their first run, and they had to make a second, and that's it. The toy line and the um did, did you get that?
I mean, I heard most of it, but overall, I mean, only the last part, like, froze a little bit, but I heard like most of it. So you're kidding me? Like, basically, they were like drawing things, and basically, like, that's the like, oh, like, look, Ninja Turtles, and basically, that's like how the idea overall, like, went through the creation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Um. Anyway, so what were you about to say?
So I'm about to say that basically that like basically they're like the guys were like drawing things. You said mentioned like in a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
So basically they were like
No, they were
drawing
just
things.
hanging out one night.
So they were hanging out and basically drawing things.
Yeah, and that's where the literal turtle as a ninja came up. You can literally look the story up. It's pretty fascinating. Like they came from extremely humble beginnings.
Wow, and I also heard you saying that like they basically had like a loan from like one of the guy's uncles.
Yeah, I think it was Kevin's.
Wow. But the one thing I've read the black and white comic book that came out from the Mirage Studios, and from like all the other versions I've seen from like the movies, TV shows, and everything, like the comic books were actually pretty dark and actually a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I've never got a chance to actually read them. I do really want to. I've been looking into that, but um from what I looked, it's very serious. Like when we think of the turtles right now, we think of fun. We think of four different completely different personalities. That wasn't not so much. They were more revenge based. Like they wanted revenge on on Shredder, and it was like you said, very violent, very gruesome, and we got and as like it kind of moved on with like kind of the 1987, we got more personality out of them essentially.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the issues I had with the comic book is that all their masks were red. Like, you cannot distinguish, like, which one is, like, for example, Leonardo or Raphael or Michelangelo. Like, none of them. So one of the things I loved from the TV shows and other representations is that they basically had different colors. Their masks had different colors, in which like you can distinguish which turtle is which one. You know, but even though I would say this, I enjoyed reading the actual issues of like the Ninja Turtles like when they actually started. Even though basically like almost everyone else, grew up with like the anime TV shows and everything. I mean, like I said, my version of the Teenage Ninja Turtles was like 2003. That was like my Teenage Ninja Turtles that I grew up with. You know, and so basically, so for me, seeing them like having masks like all red was basically kind of like a little bit of a surprise, so to speak.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, I want to ask you, like, I basically ask almost everyone, who is your favorite turtle?
Um, Honestly, all of them you can get something out of. You can get something literally out of all of them, but personally, my favorite turtle is Donatello. Um, just I kind of just because very like I like how like he has this interest in like mechanics, and he's obviously the smart turtle, but he's like he always had that like kind of snarkiness to him. Like he won't take out from any of his other brothers, and like I always kind of enjoyed that.
Hmm. Interesting. Like for me
Also, purple
personally,
is my favorite color, so
I mean that's kind of ironic because like even for me, like purple is also my favorite color as well. But like if I had to choose like my favorite turtle, I always choose Michelangelo. Like Michelangelo always my favorite turtle. Like not just simply
yeah.
like not just simply like he's like the biggest pizza lover of all of them. Which of course when it comes to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's no fucking way you can't go out of it without thinking like the pizza loving element. Like I mean, come on, like like which basically every time when I see him eating a pizza, I was like bless you turtles, bless you. Like eating pizzas and everything, but like Michelangelo for me
Yeah, pizza's like
was
so easy to love.
exactly. I mean, like my Michelangelo for me was always my favorite because, like, not just simply like the cool elements, and also like the pizza loving thing, but also like the comedy, the geekness behind his character. Like there's so much into like Michelangelo that basically made me fall in love with the character even more and more and more. So like everyone who would ask me like who's your favorite turtle, I always say Michelangelo all the way through. And also I think like nunchucks are like very cool weapons as well.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I do want to say one thing too. There's actually been this debate going on that Michelangelo is the most skilled turtle out of all four of them.
Ooh, that's actually a very good debate because for me personally, I think like the most how can I put this? The most trained, the most capable turtle. I mean, this kind of goes against Michelangelo, but like because I really love the character. But like, if I had to say the most trained one, I think I would say Leonardo. I'm not going with Leonardo.
Well,
Like, I think
as
like
far
he's the
as
most trained
training
one.
goes, he definitely has a he definitely has it down. But as far as natural ability, a lot of people are saying Michelangelo. As far as like able to look like learn what he needs to learn as far as combat knows. As far as the focus, Leonardo definitely is.
I mean, if you look at the
Also,
all
I
the
do have
Ninja
an
Turtles,
argument Raphael could possibly.
I
Oh,
mean, fair enough.
sorry. I was just
No,
gonna
no,
say.
go ahead.
I was gonna say. I do have an argument that Raphael could be the leader if he really wanted to.
True, that is true. But like for me personally, when it comes to leadership and the overall wisdom, I think like Leonardo is the perfect leader because if you look at all the turtles, basically,
Yes.
like Leonardo has the wisdom and the leadership. Raphael is the muscle. Donatello is the brain, and Michelangelo is basically the buffoon of the four. I don't know.
He's not so much of a boom. He's more just like the enlightened one,
Yeah,
the one who just doesn't. He just marches to the rhythm of his own drum, essentially.
true, true, true. But also one of the things I love about, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, the 1987 cartoon series, I don't quite remember it very well, because I binged all seasons like once, like many years ago, but I forget a lot. But I forgot a lot. But like because like I said, the 2003. Did you ever watch the 2003 version?
The 2003 one is actually the one that I grew up on too.
Ah, yes. Oh my god, I'm so happy to hear that because, like I said, the 2003 version, that's my jam. That's my TMNT, my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh my god. And and in that version, the one thing I love is that every single one of them have their own like how can I put this uh uh their own like how can I put this their own vehicles basically you know
Yeah,
like from like the bike all the way to the skating, the skateboard. Like, I mean, that's one of the things I love, and also one of the elements, what makes them like teenagers, so to speak. Which is one of the things I loved. And I mean, because I do remember from the '80s that was never actually explored, like their overall vehicles and everything.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. They've definitely been more creative with the vehicles and stuff like that over the years.
Yeah, exactly. Now we can binge about like the Ninja Turtles all the time, but like, I want to ask you like, uh, about like Master Splinter, basically, who is like the sensei, the basically the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the Ninja Turtles, basically, you know. But like, there's so many versions of Obi-Wan Kenobi you've seen. Like, could you please tell me like which version do you find like your most favorite of Splinter?
Um, I'd have to say probably the 2012 one,
Really?
just because he's definitely the most like combat ready, and he's definitely a hard sensei. He definitely wants the turtles to work hard, but honestly, probably one of my favorite relationship between the turtles and Splinter is that it's a found family, and Splinter is like, and Splinter for many years was portrayed more as a mentor than anything, but Splinter here feels more like their father. Just someone who like genuinely cares for them and cares for their safety. And honestly, that's what we need. That's what I need in a Splinter, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, that's one of the things I would say. This that's one of the things I do agree with you when it comes to Splinter, because like there's a lot of like father figure, sensei kind of like elements in 2012 version. It kind of like makes the character more, ironically, more human, so to speak. I do agree with that. Also, didn't he
Well,
actually
he
have some?
literally was human too.
I mean, of course, like almost every single version, of course, naturally. I was kind of like you're talking like a more like a metaphorical way, because even though for me personally, he kind of looked like a mixture of like a rat and a skunk, basically. When you look at the colors and everything, but also, didn't he actually also have like a relationship with Karai as well in that version?
Yeah, that's his biological daughter.
Exactly, because I do one of the episodes I always remembered was when Karai fell into these chemicals that basically made her mutated her into kind of like some kind of like a snake like creature.
Yeah, I
If I
remember
remember
that.
correctly, and like I remember like Shredder saying like I will avenge you, my daughter, and basically like Splinter was like holding her, and he's like oh my child, like something like that, and yeah, I mean, I do remember like something, about like Splinter being like his biological father, but like in every single version, like there's like a different interpretation of that, you know. And also in the 2003 version, if you remember, one of the things I always imagine, like kind of like Karai and Donatello, I mean Leonardo, having like a strange, like a old couple relationship.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because there
exactly.
are moments when you think like like there should be like boyfriend and girlfriend, basically, if you
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying.
exactly. I think they were definitely using that. Yeah.
Exactly, and I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but like one of my favorite episodes, they're like two episodes from the 2003 version. uh I will never forget it. Like one of my favorite episodes was like when the turtles were like facing, like, for me personally, one of my favorite TMNT villains, but also for me personally underrated. But like when they were facing the Garbage Man, do you remember him?
Yeah.
What did you said?
Oh, I just said I agree with you. I said yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Garbage Man. Like, I mean, even like when you heard the name, you feel like like oh, that like no, nothing special. But like the Garbage Man for me was always an interesting villain. And also, by the way, if you don't know, he was voiced by the legendary Mike Pollock, who is the voice of Dr. Eggman in Sonic. By the way, he was voiced by him, and he did an amazing job. And I felt like he was like a very interesting villain for me personally. And another episode where he appeared, where basically it's an episode that I like to call 20,000 Leagues Under Manhattan, basically, where like the turtles create this submarine and they went like under Manhattan, and basically they find this like underwater kingdom created by the Garbage Man, basically. I don't know if you remember that episode.
Yeah, on the body on a lot of 2003, just because most of it I've watched like so many years ago. But
Hmm.
I I do remember I did start watching it a little while ago.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you know this story, but there were actually some episodes they were actually scrapped from like the 2003 version, where basically there was another episode where the Garbage Man was supposed to appear after the submarine, the underwater like kingdom episode, where basically it was revealed. Do you remember Han?
Yes.
Okay, Garbage Man was supposed to be like a Siamese brother of Han. He was like connected to his body basically. And the episode was basically where Han and Garbage Man meet each other like face to face, and like you have like the basically the whole world backstory where like you have Han and Garbage Man being like these brothers, but they were like connected in the same body, and when they operated on them, like the Garbage Man was like literally thrown into a garbage can, literally, which basically made him in this villain known as the Garbage Man, basically. And the truth behind that episode was basically that the reason, I think like one of the reasons why they scrapped it is because like they felt like it was like too disturbing and too dark for like for children. And I was like, damn it, I really wish I could see that episode. I really wish I could see it. Because it'd be like really interesting. I mean, what do you think?
It sounds like a cool premise, definitely.
Yeah, I mean they were like even character designs. They were like designs of like how Han, like younger Han looked like with like the Garbage Man like basically attached to his body. Like there was a little like a character design with that. So I was really like I was really I'm not gonna say I was pissed, but I was like sad it didn't show this episode. And I think personally, the Garbage Man is one of my favorite like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like villains ever. He's one of my favorites.
Well, since we're talking about villains, you want to talk about our favorite TMNT villains in general?
I mean, of course, you can go. I mean, of course, when it comes to our favorite TMNT villains, you have like well, one of them is like a pair, but like you can go away with three villains, which are basically Shredder, Krang, and Bebop and Rocksteady. I'll also add
Well,
Baxter
Shredder.
Stockman.
Well, Shredder, you can't have the Ninja Turtles without the Shredder. I mean, you can do it without them, but it just feels like the Shredder is so like ingrained into their story. He's basically Darth of the Ninjas. He looks a lot like Darth Vader, has his mannerisms and everything like that. But he also has this like personal tie to her. So essentially like he's kind of within the family. He's within like the turtles family essentially.
I mean, yes and no, because it depends on what kind of version you're talking about. because in the, if I remember correctly, from the 80s version, Shredder was basically like this, kind of like a mercenary who's the leader of the Foot Clan, basically. But in the 2003 version, here's like in the 2003 version, I've seen a lot of people like backlash about it, but like there's like a one of the things I love about Shredder in 2003 version. First and foremost, he's a fucking crime lord. He's like Foot Clan is basically like a mobster group that is like running all over New York, basically.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. But also later on, if you remember the 2003 version, later on you realize that basically Shredder was Krang.
Yes.
If you remember,
I do.
And honestly, honestly, that was my first time ever like being introduced to Krang, basically. And when that moment came, when I was watching the episodes on TV, when that moment came, I was literally like, mind blown. Literally, that this small jelly-like, alien was responsible for all of that. I was literally like, shocked. But then later on, I've seen a lot of fans like complain, like, oh, why didn't it make Krang like a totally different character and all that? But honestly, in that kind of world of the 2003 version, it kind of fits, basically. If you look at all the episodes and the stories. Exactly. I mean,
and Bebop and Rocksteady too.
Yeah, okay. One of the things is in Bebop and Rocksteady in the 2003 version, they never existed. They never introduced them in the 2003 version. That's for sure. Like they introduced like a lot of different creatures.
Oh, I was just segueing to them. I know they never were in the 2003.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean,
so they'd be really cool in the 2003 version.
Oh my god, I would have loved if they introduced him in the 2003 version. I would have loved to see that. I mean, one of the reasons why I watched the 80s TV show is because like of Bebop and Rocksteady. Just because of them. I just wanted to see him in action and everything, and I just love their relationship. I mean, like one of the things, like even though the live action movies they did another one with the mask, but with the CGI versions.
Yeah, the Michael Bay ones.
Exactly. Like the second movie, you can say whatever you want about the movie, but one of the things I think they nailed in the sequel was Bebop and Rocksteady. They nailed it.
Yeah, Gary Anthony Williams and Seamus.
They could have picked the perfect couple to play Bebop and Rocksteady. They were so good. Even when they were like in the jungle, in the tank, and saying like, what it is a good for? Absolutely nothing. Like even that part was great because I was like, yep, that's Bebop and Rocksteady. That's them. But I'll also add this. I'm just gonna jump like a little bit to Baxter Stockman. A little bit to Baxter Stockman. First and foremost, like I'm a sucker for like mad scientists. I'm a big sucker. And I would say this: I loved Baxter Stockman in the 2003 version more than other versions, actually, because like in the other versions, he basically transforms into this like mutated bug, actually mutated fly, basically. But in the 2003 version, I loved him even more because like he became like basically a cyborg one step after the other, like until like he was left like as brain and an eye, like and also in the 2003 version we got a little bit of a backstory to Stockman, like who he was, his love for his mother, like the overall life that he had, like for me the 2003 version, it made Baxter Stockman an even more interesting villain than what the other versions did, because the other versions basically interpreted him as this like geeky mad scientist, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean also and again I have to also mention again one more time, Hun. I felt like he was a nice addition to the TMNT villains, and honestly, like a lot of people love Krang. I mean, I'm jumping like back and forward. Like a lot of people love Krang, but like I don't know. Like I was never like very fascinated with Krang. I mean, what about you?
I always liked Krang. I mean, there's not really much to go with Krang, just because he's just like this. Oh, Krang is gonna get the turtles. I don't think I did a right Crane impression, but
Yeah, I mean, he's basically. I mean, I agree with you. He's basically like "Ooh, I'm the master here, and you will do my bidding whenever I say." He's basically like that.
uh, definitely a cool design. The Utra are design species.
I mean, basically, Krang and other species. I mean, okay, outside the 2003 version, Krang is basically like a talking brain. If you look at closely,
Yes, pretty much.
he's basically like a talking brain. Yes, and also I would say this another plus of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of Shadows movie. One of the biggest pluses I have, I love the addition of Brad Garrett voicing Krang. I love that. I thought he was perfect.
Yeah, Fred was actually.
What did you say?
I think Fred Armisen was originally supposed to voice him.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some stories about like who was supposed to voice him and everything, but honestly, like honestly, they couldn't have gotten wrong with Brad Garrett as well. I feel like he did. I really think he did a really good job as Krang.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Now we talked a little bit about the 1987. I want to talk about the movies.
Okay, okay. So, how do you want to go?
Um, Talk about each movie one by one, I guess.
I mean, like, the, I mean, I watched like almost everyone else. I watched the old live action like movies, like one, of course, with people in costumes, like the trilogy. And if I remember correctly, because like the first one, I don't remember a lot. I remember like the slice and dice thing, like almost everyone else. Uh, Also, I just want to say in the live action versions, I just want to say Splinter looked so cute in that costume. Let's just
Yeah,
be honest.
absolutely. Really, really fuzzy.
Exactly. It was so cute. And also the turtles. They look so adorable. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
exactly.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
gotta say, um, the Secret of the Ooze, along with the 2003 series, was definitely my introduction to the turtles. But that well, actually, both the 1990 and the 2003. Around that time, 1990 felt like if the Eastman and Laird comics mixed with the 1987 a pro series, and to make like something that's like does have a lot of the elements from the 1987, but it's dark, it's serious, it has teenagers smoking. It just honestly, do you remember that one scene? I don't know if you remember this. You've seen the movie a while ago, but do you remember that one scene when they're in the Foot Clan base? And it's just like nothing but just like a bunch of kids with like a bunch of stolen goods, like everything from like
oh, yeah, it's a little bit foggy, but I do remember that scene a little bit. Yes, I
yeah,
do.
like it was really such a vibe just to see that. Also, it was one of Sam Rockwell's first performances.
Yes, yes, I do remember that. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was it was really cool. Probably my favorite thing about it. The Foot Clan's usually portrayed as robots, which I like when they're actually like foot soldiers, like they're actually ninjas. Like I just think there's something about it, and the fact that like Shredder just like randomly recruited like teenager street, it's like it has a human quality to it, and also Shredder's kind of a jerk for recruiting minors and just basically making them expendable.
Yeah, I do remember that part as well. Oh my god. I mean, like, I have to say this: the animated versions of Shredder, they portrayed him more like honorably in a way than what the
Yeah.
movies did, because like the movies made him look like a dick, basically. Just like you said, like a dick. And I mean, like you said, like teenagers and everything. It was kind of crazy in a way, the way how they did it. Oh my god.
Yeah. Also, I
But
don't know if they had him in the comics. Correct me. Was was Mas is Master Tetsu in the original comics, or was he a completely like made up character for the 1990 and the 1991 films?
ooh, I'm not sure about that. Could you please tell me the name one more time?
Master Tetsu.
Just a minute. I don't know if he was like just a minute. Let me just see one more.
That's an
Let me just
original
see it.
character, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I seen his face. I do remember him. Master Tatsu. No, he was an original character for the movies.
I mean, that is pretty cool. They had something like that in there. But yeah, the Foot Clan was pretty cool, and also just the aesthetic of it is just it felt just very unique. Like it had a lot of like shots that like can like be really like iconic. It has a lot of lines that are iconic. The cast is um like the cast, they're just having, it seems like they're having fun with it. I just like the 1990 is probably one of my favorite projects, really.
Also, one of the things I just want to say in the sequel, The Secret of the Ooze, like they introduced other like mutant like characters, like the wolf alligator, no, the alligator turtle character and the wolf one. Honestly,
Yeah,
I can't remember their
Toka
names.
and Toka and Razar.
Yes, them. I mean, in the movie they were so cool. I mean, it's really sad they didn't like continue to use them. Because like I felt like they were always very cool like additions to like people like Be Up and Rocksteady. You know.
I think in the 2012 they actually um made Chris Bradford, who was in the who was Dog Pound, and then he got mutated for a second time, and they Razar.
You mean they did? Huh.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember that one.
Well, they
That
made him a
one as well.
character similar. Yeah. Um. Yeah. The 1991 though, that was just that was just flat out like wild. Like it was definitely like a response. Like, okay, the kids like Ninja Turtles. We need to make a fun Ninja Turtles cartoon, but in live action. Go. And they literally just came up with that.
Oh
Also,
my god.
I'm not sure for a much of a music aficionado, and specifically 90s hip hop, but Phenomenon Vanilla Ice did the ninja rap, and
Yeah.
it was absolutely amazing. I don't care what anybody says, it's amazing.
Yeah, I do agree. It was actually pretty good. I do agree on that. I mean, the overall like movies, like the entire trilogy. When we talk about like the like literally people in masks, like the overall trilogy was actually pretty good. I mean, like the first two movies basically was centered around the Ninja Turtles, Shredder, and all of that. But a lot of people, I mean, I just want to ask you about this because like a lot of people love the first two, but I want to ask you, what do you think about the third one? The time travel thing.
Honestly, I haven't seen that one in a very long time. But it is. I've seen clips of it within the last decade, and I do probably need to revisit it. But it definitely was it was definitely fun from what I remember, and I do like the time travel aspects of it.
Yeah, because like in the third movie, if I'm not mistaken, basically like um the turtles alongside April O'Neil, they were transported if I'm not mistaken, they were transported into like ancient Japan, something like that, because there were like a moment where they were basically dressed like samurai, all of them, so
Yes.
I mean, like, okay, it wasn't like the typical, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but the thing you have to realize in the 2003 version, like they were like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they travel like through different dimensions, different universes. They went into the future and back. Like, there were like so many different like thing so many different journeys they had. Not to mention the 80s version. Hell, the 80s version of the animated series, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they even travel into fairy tales. I'm not kidding you.
Yes.
Like, seriously, there were like one episode I will never forget. There was one episode where basically they were traveling with the Easter Bunny, and like they were inside the Jack and the Beanstalk fairy tale. I'm not kidding you.
I
So
think I
for
do
me
remember
personally,
that.
yeah. So for me personally, with them trying back in the past into like fuel or something like ancient, basically ancient Japan, for me that's no surprise, because like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they had so many travels into many different worlds, dimensions, universes, time travel, that basically when I've seen the third movie, it didn't came no surprise if they went back in the past. It was no surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also um but overall, like the original trilogy, basically the original trilogy, um honestly, I basically had a blast with all three of them. Like as movies, like yes, like there were some parts, that were like cheesy and all that, but like for me personally, I have fun with all of them, because again, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What else?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, um, like it is the franchise itself. It's very heartfelt, but at the end of the day, it's nothing but fun. The whole idea of Ninja Turtles is just fun. Like
Exactly,
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just fun.
exactly. That's my whole point. Now I will ask you, what did you thought of the 3D animated movie of 2007?
Well, I think you forgot something else, but you probably don't want to talk about it.
You're talking about the next mutagen.
Yes. Did
Um,
you watch that?
yes, that where the turtles basically wear bandanas,
Yeah. It's
and
pretty bad,
and
isn't
and
it?
And also Leonardo, instead of a katana, he has like a basically pair of scissors.
Yeah. I mean, I probably shouldn't. I bet a lot of Ninja Turtles fans would get angry at me mentioning it. It's just,
I mean, on it, look, like seriously, I'm not gonna be one of those fans like, oh, you fuckers mentioned next mutagen, you fucking traitors to the TMNT franchise, fuck you and all that. No, I'm not one
we
of those
both
guys.
agree. Well, I agree. I basically say it's not good.
Yes, I will say this. Look, here's the thing. My problem with it, even though it was bad, but my problem is, I cannot bash it because the hard work the people behind the scenes did.
Mhm.
Okay, like it
Yeah.
always, I feel pity for them, because like they try their best to do whatever they can,
Yeah.
and yet,
Suits.
even though with everything they did, it was bad. Okay, it was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like, because I was like, what? How can I put this? Okay, he was shit. Okay, like it was bad. Like, I mean, instead of wearing masks, they were wearing bandanas. Also, like having these like futuristic weapons. Like I said, Leonardo having a pair of scissors. I'm like, really? Instead of like original katanas, you're gonna give me like a pair of cybernetic, like futuristic scissors? Seriously? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I mean, I wouldn't say like there were some things inside that was like, pure enjoyment, but that was like, to be fair, it was bad, and we can both agree on it. Okay,
Yeah.
but for me, like
Yeah, I
like I
agree.
said,
So
it
we're moving
hurts
on
me.
to the 2007.
Exactly. I mean, it hurts me to say it was awful. Okay, it hurts me because the hard work they did, but it wasn't the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that we all know and love. It wasn't. Anyway, but yeah, okay. Moving on. The 2007, like the 3D animated movie. What did you thought of it?
Um, it was it had a lot of fun parts, but it just felt very bland.
The one thing I will say, I will agree that the story went. It was a little bit like simple. It wasn't like anything special. I will agree, and also I was like, I will say this. Like I was a little bit surprised, that it like first and foremost, like I said, I was really into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was really surprised, that like it was a movie, that didn't have any Shredder at all, but basically the main villains were basically this businessman who is like this old like knight or something, and
Yeah,
like the main villains are him
Patrick
and like
Stewart.
the other knights. Yes, I know he was voiced by Patrick Stewart, like, and basically like him and his like brothers and sisters, like the main villains who are like this, medieval knights or something, and I mean, I will say this, it was a little bit like challenging. I will say that like this, it was challenging, but it wasn't nothing special, but for me personally, even still, I still had fun with the 2007 version. I still had fun.
Yeah,
Again, it didn't have any Shredder, it didn't have any Baxter Stockman, it didn't have Bebop and Rocksteady. He only had a little bit of Karai, but like it was. I was like, hell, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was still fun.
yeah. I mean, it
And
brings
also,
something to it, and oh, and I was just gonna say, Raph and Raph's pretty cool in this, and his relationship with Casey
yes,
Jones is pretty cool in this.
yes, that is true. That is absolutely true. Yeah, like the like some of the characters, like they were really memorable in this movie. And again, like I said, like so many great performances. I mean, I even forgot, like even Kevin Smith was in this movie as like
Oh
this.
yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, he was like this. Yeah, he was like a cook or something, right?
Hmm. I think so. Okay. Between this and whatever talk about next, I feel like we should talk about two other characters that are very important to the mythos of the Ninja Turtles.
Go ahead.
Um,
Go ahead.
April O'Neil and Casey Jones.
Yes, yes. I was just simply wondering when we're gonna go into them. I always follow them like it's very nice additions to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But like, if I remember correctly, April O'Neil was introduced in the 80s, like anime TV show. She was like a news reporter or something, right?
Yeah, well, she's actually been in the mythos since the very beginning. Same thing with Casey Jones.
Yes,
The Eastman
that's
and
true.
Laird
That's
comic.
true. Yeah, that is true. You know,
Well, I was just gonna say, sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as far as the how April O'Neil started off, she started off as a scientist. I think for TCRI or something like that. I think they were kind of taking. I think the 2003 series was actually taking liberties from that.
Yes, yes, because if you remember correctly from the TV show, she was actually working for Baxter Stockman in that version, and then like later
Yes.
on, in the 2003 version, she was never a reporter. She was basically working for Baxter Stockman, and then later on, she continued working in that antique shop of her uncle or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I
Yeah,
always.
I was just gonna say they must have got that from the 1990s series, or I don't even know if that
Exactly.
was even in the 84 comic, but
Yeah, because in the original version, April O'Neil, she was a reporter, but like when I was jumping from one franchise to another, like I was like it was so confusing. I was like, wait a minute, was she a scientist and then like an antique shop dealer, or was she a news reporter? I was like, well, it was so confusing. But then when I started reading the comics, I was like, oh, so she's a news reporter, and then like that's how I get into the 80s version, and then of course we got with the women, yeah. Then of course the 2007 version, then Michael Bay versions, and of course the 2012, and so on and so forth.
yeah, but essentially, no matter what version of April O'Neil, she is much important to the story, as the Ninja Turtles. I
Yes.
feel she kind of brings that definitely human connection that I feel like we need in a Ninja Turtle story, and it kind of drives it essentially.
Yeah, I agree. I agree definitely. But that's one of the things. Like, uh, okay, let's just put it this way. Do you think like the animated version? I'm not gonna go into live action right now. Do you think like the animated versions? Do you think they did April O'Neil justice?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because even though again I stick with my 2003 version because that's the one I grew up with. Like the 80s version was great. I was interesting. The 2003 for me personally was great. That's the one I grew up with. Then of course the 2012. Even though for me when I saw April O'Neil, she looked like a teenage girl, the way how she was designed. But like I thought her character was done properly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, yeah. So now in the now I don't remember quite exactly like it, but the Casey Jones in the 2003 version, like he was created basically through like the purple dragons, basically.
Yeah. I think Hun
Yes,
burned down
his uncle's store.
his house, and I don't know if his dad was in it or what.
In I remember that like in the 2003 version, Han before he joined Shredder, Han was the leader of the Purple Dragons, and he burned down his uncle's store or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and that's basically what drew him into becoming what he is now. But I don't remember if it was actually his origin or did he actually existed before.
No, I think he was like a kid or something like that around the time, and then he kind of built himself up to be this vigilante, to be the hero for the people, and his whole appeal essentially has just been like other than like some other interpretations, he's just been like on the ground. Like he like will he'll have that vigilante justice that he feels like New York needs. And honestly, probably my favorite thing about him is just like how just like willingness to help, like he'll help the turtles like anytime they need it. Like I remember like the 1990 version, we were talking about that, and like he fought like Raphael, and like
Hmm.
he's like, oh, you're some type of punker, and then he saw him like he was ticked off. He was doing karate on the roof. He was ninjutsu on the roof. I mean, um, and Casey's like, oh crap, this guy's in trouble, and then he just like randomly just like comes in to help him. He has no reason of being there. He's just like, what the hell? I got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I remember that. But like I would say this, like the 2003 version, I think like my is one of my favorite parts is how Raphael and Casey Jones met. And also their overall
Yeah.
relationship
Oh, they've
in the
always
show.
had that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, both of them, if you look at closely, both of them had problems with their anger. Both of them had problems with their anger, and in the 2003, for me personally, it shows like a natural relationship with Casey Jones and Raphael had, and I love that. I really, really love that, which is one of the things for me personally. I thought it was missing from the Michael Bay movies. Personally, I thought it was missing. You know,
Well, I will say that Casey Jones in um I mean the Michael Bay movies were fun for what it was, but the Casey Jones in was it Out of the Shadows?
yeah, he first appeared in Out of the Shadows. Yes.
Yeah, I did not enjoy his Stephen Amell's interpretation. I don't know if it was the writing but I just thought he'd be like instead of like being like this kind of spunky cop, like like he'd be betrayed to how he was. And he only had the mask on once. It was like, oh hey, look at me, I'm Casey Jones. All of a sudden takes the mask off. I hate to be sounding like a very angry fan, but just there wasn't really any point in that. There really
Yeah,
wasn't. I'm
yeah, I know.
sorry, but there,
I know, I know. I mean, like, look at me. I mean, like, look, I'm the same with you. I mean, I felt like the both movies were like for me personally, the both movies being a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, both movies for me are a guilty pleasure when it comes to Michael Bay movies. They're like a guilty pleasure to me. I mean, like, who can fucking forget the elevator scene? I mean, come on, MC Mikey.
I mean
MC
that was probably the best scene in all of those movies, just because it felt like to the characters.
Yes, I mean, like, first and foremost, one of the reasons why I love that scene is because it shows the teenager side of the turtles. You know,
Mhm.
that's why I love that scene. Like MC Ricky Ricky boom 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 like I
And
love
then
that
everybody
scene.
joins in with their weapons,
Yes, yes, I
and
love that scene.
and
That's such an
everybody
iconic
uses
scene.
all the girls have this like just like this like blank expression on their face, which just weirdly works for the scene.
Yes, I know.
Well, not blank, but
But
just has
over
like they have like these funny faces.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know. But I will say this: like, first and foremost, when they first announced that, Stephen Amell was playing Casey Jones, I was like, huh, okay, the guy from Arrow, he's gonna play Casey Jones. Okay, I'll give it a shot. But then after I was saw him in the movie, I was like, it was okay, but I was like, that's not Casey Jones. Like that's not Casey Jones I grew up with. I was like, meh. I mean, I will say this. I appreciate Megan Fox. I appreciate her relationship with Michael Bay, but I was like, she's not April O'Neil. Okay, for me, she wasn't the April O'Neil I know. I mean, what about you?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's pretty cliche to like to dump on Megan Fox from like the Transformers movies. And yes, she's had some roles where she has displayed like true talent. Like there's no denying that. Um, just me personally, I see her as April. That's spunk, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree with you. I mean, like again, like I said, that's not my April O'Neil that I grew up with, But like, I was like I said, I was there mainly for the turtles, and also, I mean, like, oh my god, I hate shitting about those movies because they're like my guilty pleasure. But one of the things I also had a problem with is, of course, Shredder. I had a problem with that as well because, like in the first movie, he was basically Iron Shredder. He was basically like a Japanese relative to Iron Man.
Well, the thing is,
basically.
Well, the funny thing about the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movies is that he was basically about to be like, okay, screw all of you. I'm gonna do exactly what I want. They were gonna start out as aliens from Dimension X. Like, what is that? What is that? Do you not understand the lore of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like, and then William Fichtner's character, and I'm like, I mean, I guess it would make sense they have, but at the same time, Shredder's Japanese, and the fact that and his like tied to they made Splinter like a lab rat in the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. I'm just like if like it doesn't always have to be accurate. Like the whole thing with accuracy when it comes to interpretations, you can have your own interpretation of certain characters. You can twist things around, but if it messes with the core of these characters and why we love them in the first place, then why do it? Just I'm asking you, why do it?
Yeah. I mean,
and that's my rant.
Yeah, I get you. I totally get you. Because again, it hurts me to trash those movies because they're my guilty pleasures as a TMNT fan and everything. Because first of all, I just want to say in the movie's
same
defense,
here, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, in the TMNT movie's defense, first and foremost, for me personally, they nailed the turtles, their personalities and everything. They nailed them, But again, with the fucking turtles, my only problem was they were too big. Okay, they were supposed to be like
they were on steroids.
I know. I mean, they were supposed to be like even smaller than what April O'Neil is. Like they were supposed to be like I don't know. I mean, they were supposed to be like like how they were in 2003 version. How small they were. You remember, right?
Well, I mean, they were taller, a little muscular, but there was nothing like really like bald about. the thing essentially.
I mean, look, they were. I mean, look, even when you see like the 2003 version or the 80s version, like they were basically the exact height as they were. But like in the Michael Bay version, they were like, like they were like really big. And I was like, they were saying, like, well, basically, they was, yeah, we were teenagers. I'm like, that height, it doesn't look like you're teenagers. You look like you're actual adults, And I'm like, and also, I mean,
Yeah.
like, damn. I mean, it hurts me to shit about those movies because they're my guilty pleasure. It hurts me, you know. But like, there are so many things about those movies that I'm like, I was so disappointed. Like, for example, I mean, we can both agree the way how they treated Shredder in the second movie. I mean, we can both agree.
Both the
That was like,
movies, actually. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like in the first one, I mean, here's the thing: the actor who was playing, the actual Orokusaki, like the this like Japanese crime lord and everything, the actor was perfect, the height was perfect, but like the overall fucking armor, it felt like here I am, Iron Shredder, like a Japanese relative to Tony Stark.
Honestly, though, with a Michael Bay movie, like you're gonna get what. Well, technically, both the movies weren't even directed by Michael Bay, but they had a stamp all over it. They really did.
Well, the first one, I will say this. No, actually, you're right because like the first one was directed by what was his name? Jonathan Lee
What?
Ladisman or something.
Well, yeah,
And then like
my best man, I think.
yeah, and the second one was directed by the guy who did versus Echo movie, Dave Green, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And Michael Bay was basically like a producer or something of those movies.
Yeah, but he had a lot of creative input in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you see those movies, you get the idea that he was completely involved. You get the idea.
Yeah,
But again,
he
I mean,
directed it.
okay, but here's the thing. Let's look at the reality. You and I can both shit on those movies so much, but we still can't get enough of them. We still watch them, no matter what they
Yeah.
are.
Oh no, absolutely. They're definitely fun to watch. There's no doubt about it. They are fun, just not good.
Exactly. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like exactly, just like you said.
Yeah, but
Exactly. They're so much fun to watch. Oh my
okay.
god.
Well, we're
Like
going down the line right now. Okay, so we got the Michael Bay movies out of the way. Um, have I do want to do a quick question. As far as
go ahead.
comic goes, I haven't read a lot of them personally. But have you read the IDW run? I think it's still currently ongoing.
Oh, you mean the oh, you mean the IDW publishing, right?
Yes.
Ooh, well, I do know. I mean, I do know they started from like 2011. I know that they started from there, but like, I will be honest. Like, I didn't read. I only read like a few of them. I didn't read all of them. I just only read like a few of them.
Yeah, I've only read a few of them as well. It definitely is a
Yeah,
unique take, though. That's for sure.
yeah. But I will mention this. I don't know if you watched this, but I will mention this. I read the miniseries and I fucking watched it. But one of my favorite TMNT projects ever made, and is Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's pretty
Like that
fun.
like that miniseries and that anime movie they did, which was based on the miniseries, it is absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. Like, okay, to
Hmm.
be honest, in the original miniseries, if you never read it, if you in the original miniseries, Shredder, because of Krang, he was sent to an alternate universe. Where you have the DC superheroes alongside Batman. That's basically the overall plot of the comics. Now, in the movie, I mean, did you watch the anime movie?
Uh, I have not. I still need.
Oh my god! Like, trust me, you should watch it. It is such a blast as a movie. It is such a blast. Oh my god, I loved every single minute of it. Oh my god! But overall, I just want to say this: but the overall plot is basically, Shredder basically allied himself with, and I'm not kidding. Shredder allied himself with Ra's al Ghul, basically, and
I know
and
that.
yes, he allied himself with Ra's al Ghul, and basically they were trying to spread the ooze through Gotham City. Basically, give Shredder this animal hybrid army, so to speak.
Yeah.
And oh my god, I mean, there's so many great moments in the movie. Like, there's so many great moments that I always wanted to see. Like, for example, Shredder versus Batman. Oh my god, I love that fight. I love that fight. Oh my god, like, you felt like, TMNT had troubles with Shredder. Oh my god, you should see like how Shredder fought like Batman. Oh my god, it was such a great fight.
Oh yeah.
You know, yeah. Also, if you ever watch this movie, which I think you should, there's also like I think it's a post credit scene, but anyway, there's a credit scene in a movie. Like, I don't know if they're ever gonna do a sequel, but I would love to see it. I would love to see it. You know, which is also another TMNT project, which I thought like it should be mentioned because I watched the movie like 10 times, and it's such a great story. I love the relationship between Damien, Batman, Batgirl, and the Turtles. I love the relationship. I love the way how they fought against the villains of Gotham. I love that as well. Oh my god, there's so many things. I really hope when you watch it, you're gonna love it.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Mm.
Okay, so we've talked about that. Then we have two slash three, two, 2.5 projects left to talk about.
Go ahead.
The 2012 and CGI series.
Yeah, the when
We've kind of talked briefly about it, but we haven't talked about very much.
I mean, the 2012. First of all, I just want to say, I honestly, when I was a little bit younger, like I watched like few episodes overall, but like I pinched it like few weeks ago. Actually, I pinched to watch it. So right now I watched only like season one of the Nickelodeon version. So I'm like a little bit like fresh with that series overall.
What did you think about it?
Well, I will say this. It was definitely, it was a little bit more funnier than the other versions. Definitely a little bit more targeted towards kids. Definitely. But overall, I just want to say this: like the overall story really actually kept me going. I really like it. This like well connected story. I mean, there were some moments when you felt like it were like filler episodes, but overall, the story is the thing that really actually kept me going.
Yeah, I agree. Also, like it had a great aesthetic. The fight scenes were incredible,
Yep.
and the cast of it too was incredible. Started out with Jason Biggs, then I forget what the second voice actor to the show. It was Seth Green, and then um, you get some hard hitters in there. You got Sean Astin as Raphael.
Yep.
Got Rob Paulson voice acting legend Ron Paulson returning, not as Raphael, but as Donatello, which that's pretty cool, honestly.
Yep.
And then Greg Sipes, Beast Boy, coming in as Michelangelo, and then you get some other like guest stars there and there, and Kevin Michael Richardson as the Shredder.
As Shredder, yes. I felt like, honestly, personally, I felt like Kevin Michael Richardson as Shredder. I felt like he was really good as Shredder.
Oh yeah, he was definitely meant for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, my favorite Shredder will always be in the 2003 version, and of course, which is one of the things I'm really surprised that in the 80s version, Shredder was voiced by by Uncle Phil from Bel Air. And I had to say,
he's really talented as it is, so he was definitely meant for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, he really. I mean, I'm honest. When I first heard the Shredder voiced the Uncle Phil, basically the actor who did Uncle Phil in Bel Air, when I heard he was voicing Shredder in the 80s animated TV show, I was literally like, I was literally laughing my ass out. I was like, like, really, Uncle Phil of all the people voicing Shredder, and I was like, but when I heard him voicing Shredder in the 80s, I was like, wow. I was like, he's really good. Like, I was really surprised how good he voiced Shredder. But I will say this: Kevin Michael Richardson, who's also one of my favorite voice actors of all time. Kevin Michael Richardson, the way he voiced Shredder, he was really good as well in the 2012 version. And also, I want to ask you. I mean, they also did some changes. Like, for example, Rocksteady, he was basically like a Russian soldier or something, basically, and and all the time when you see Rocksteady, he's basically like Rocksteady with like a Russian accent. I mean, what did you feel of that change?
Interesting to say the least. And Bebop was like, I think he was like a freelance criminal. So
yep,
like they were definitely an interesting pair, that's for sure. Also, I could be wrong. I think JB Smoove voiced Rocksteady. I could be wrong, but he did really well at. I love JB Smoove at everything he does. So
yeah, I mean, like, let me check to see the villains. Let me just say one. Let me just check to see. Just one moment. Also, I just want to mention Phil Lamar, who's also again one of my favorite voice actors. I just want to say he was really good as Baxter Stockman. He was really good. But also Rocksteady was voiced by Fred Tatasciore, another great voice actor, and Bebop, just like you said, and Bebop was voiced by JB Smoove, just like you said.
Yes. Yeah, very nice. They had tons of casts, guest stars and whatnot, and I mean overall the show. Personally, the 2012 one is my favorite interpretation.
Fair enough.
Just
but
because
for me,
it definitely is an amalgamation. Yeah, just it's definitely an amalgamation of the Turtles mythos. But it definitely does its own liberties and just has fun with it, really.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, like I said, I only like I when I was younger, I watched like very few episodes in general. So and again, I binged it like maybe like like a few weeks ago and like a month or something. And I watched like so far, I watched the overall first season, and I do agree with you. Like even though like with the characters and the animation and everything, the one thing that really kept me going was the story. And I will agree, like the voice acting was really surprising. I really loved the way how not just simply the turtles but everyone else was voiced. I really love that as well. even though it was kind of like the more towards kids element. That was the thing that kind of like was like a little bit like I don't know if I like this or not, but like the overall story, like I said, the characters and the villains, like that's the thing that kept me going. So I'm really cannot wait to see the rest. But overall, for what I've got so far, I was really surprised. I was really surprised. Even though for me personally, my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version will always be the 2003 version. That will always be my favorite, no matter what. I mean, I will give it a shot, just like I give a chance to
Yeah.
the 80s version. I'm gonna give a shot to the 2012 version as well. But there's one version, and I'm gonna say it right now. There's one version besides the next mutation. Uh, there's another version I will never give it a shot. Forget it. Which is the Rise of the Mutants. Forget it. I will never watch that show. Did you hear me?
So shadows. Yeah, yeah, you were cutting out again.
Sorry. I was trying to say, like, of all the versions I've seen, like I said, I give a shot to the 80s. I give a shot to the 2012 version, which, like I said, I only rewatched, like, I only watched the first season. Now I'm getting ready into the second season. But there's one show I will never, ever, ever watch it, which is, of course, the fucking, like, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version, which was like fresh released. That's the one show I will never watch.
Honestly, honestly, I feel like you should give it a chance because I've been starting to watch it myself, and it does things differently, but I will say you will appreciate the animation of it, and definitely has a different type of format. And the movie that they did on Netflix last year was really good in my opinion.
Look, I really tried to give it a shot. I really did. I seen a few episodes. I seen the animation. The voice acting was actually good, but the animation, the story, the childish humor, I was like, I'm sorry to say this, but it's not for me. It really not. It's really not.
I I I definitely understand. I do recommend though the movie that came out last year is a lot more mature, and it definitely has a lot of heart to it.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I mean, I will way more. I mean, I will give a chance more to the 2023 version than the 2000 than this anime TV show. Like seriously, which I think like when it comes to the 2023 version, when it comes to the overall movie, I feel like I'm gonna give it way
I
more.
do really hope you enjoy Mutant.
I mean, I will
I
say
think you're
this.
going to have a blast with it.
I will say this. I think I mean, I'm hoping I'm gonna like because, like I said, uh, like we talked about it before. Like when I was watching before, like I was watching Across the Spider Verse. The first Spider-Man movie with Miles Morales. When I've seen when I've seen the trailer with like
Yes.
the kind of when I've seen the trailer with that kind of animation, I was like, nah, this is not for me. But then, like later on, before after the theater and everything, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. I watched the movie. I loved it, even the animation. So if I went through Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse like animation, I think like I'm gonna get through the animation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well. So I think like
It
I think like
definitely
I will have no
it has
problem.
a lot of inspiration from Spider-Verse, but yeah, but it definitely has its own unique style to it.
Yeah, I mean from what I've seen from the trailers, definitely. So I'm gonna try to give it a shot, definitely. But again, as I said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give the movie way more of a
Yeah.
shot than I'm gonna give it to the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Definitely.
I get you. Everybody has their own taste.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
me
know. I mean,
personally,
like,
I'm still starting to watch it more. I'm enjoying it.
no. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I mean, I get you. I get you definitely. Uh, also, I forgot to mention like one movie also, which also, I mean, it made me appreciate like the overall, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well. I don't know if you watched it, but it was called Turtles Forever. Did you watch it?
Oh yeah, the 2000 crossover, the
Exactly, like,
2003 19 over.
exactly with the crossover, like, with the original '80s version to the 2003 version, like that's also a movie that, oh my god, like, I felt so much nostalgia, so much fandom in it, and like I was like, that's a movie I really really loved, and I understand, like, the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that you're talking about, and maybe time to time, like, I will try to give it a chance, but so far I've seen, I don't know, this show doesn't really attract me at all.
Yeah, I get that. Also the 2012 did its own crossover too. I really wish they had a 2003 cameo though.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Mm, I get you definitely.
So I think we talked about pretty much all the Turtles content we.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did. Like, we went through a
I
lot.
think we talked about all the Turtles content we could.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think like
Yes.
we went through a lot. So I think like we went through like everything, all the TV shows, the movies, and everything. But I will definitely tell you that I should really advise, for you to give it a shot to the black and white comic book, because it's really really good. It really is good, you know. And
Oh,
you
I
know,
definitely I do want, and we want to look into it. That's
Yeah, and also after this, I will say this, after this discussion with you and I had, I'm really cannot wait to continue to start with like season two of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like 2012 version. Also, after I will say this, after I'm done with the 2012 version, I'm gonna rewatch the 2003 version from the very beginning to the very end. Because like you know like there's so much the way how we talk about and everything, it really like brought back like my TMNT fandom all over again.
yeah. No, I get it. There's so much I need to revisit and read for the first time and everything like that. Really,
Yep, same with me. I mean, not rereading, but like rewatching, definitely.
I get you.
hmm So overall, I think like we talk about everything, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Also, like the last thing I will say, I really, really hope that I'm gonna like the Mutant Mayhem movie. I really hope, just like you guys did. But overall, yeah, I mean, like I think we're done. We basically talk about our experiences like with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all over, like from all the way from 1984 to 2023. So yeah, I think we're done. Do you want to add something more?
Um, no, just my outro. Really, both of our outros.
Okay. Okie dokie. Okay, so it looks like my followers of darkness. It looks like we came to an end to another Shadow Council episode, which is of course about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, like always, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, comment, subscribe, and all that shit. You know, If you want to look to the other previous episodes we did about the Shadow Council, just simply click on my channel and you can see it all the way. All the playlists, all from episode 1 to episode 7. So overall, you know the drill. Here I am, like always, Lord of Shadows, signing off.
Hating from the Paw Perch Network. Go get some pizza, kids. Cowabunga.
Exactly. See you guys next time. And of course, like always, Cowabunga. Slice and dice.